Cyberpunk. I'll warn you in advance that landscapes and colors are absolutely not my forte, alright? So tell me about this drawing and tell me what specific things you would like critiqued. Overall composition and drawing. Alright, to begin with, I think this looks very, very pretty. The sky is really nice. What you can do to improve upon this is to arrange the elements to bring the focal point a little bit more into play. As it is right now, it's a little hard for me to see the two characters on the bottom, so I think I'd like to increase the size of that. Especially if you just glance at this, it's kind of hard to see. So I think what I might do is just increase their size quite a bit actually, and use the other background elements to frame them a little bit. So let's try this. Okay, so you can see that already, if just by increasing the size of the elements, I think it's a lot clearer what's going on in this image. So for these guys, I would like to kind of clarify their silhouettes just a little bit more. I do like the subtlety, but just a little bit of rim light here. Okay, let's see what we can do with the background now. Oh, there is a lovely, is this a sunrise or a sunset? But I would love a little bit more vibrancy down the bottom here. So let me try that. I will increase the saturation. Let's bring a little bit of saturation in here. I think that would be fun. Not exactly default brush, but instead of using a circle, I like using a triangle because it lets me have fun shapes like this by default without worrying too much about it. It's probably a little bit too saturated, but it's okay. We'll deal with this in a second. I mean, like, it's a pretty cloud formation, but you can't help but look at it, and it takes too much attention from the rest of the composition because it looks so detailed. So I think if we simplify your clouds and kind of arrange your clouds in a more aesthetic formation, it will help the overall comp. So let me give that a shot. I'm just working off general design principles right now. I actually have little to no experience whatsoever doing backgrounds, so I'm gonna have to look up some references. Clouds at dusk. Let's come here and look for some inspirations. Something pretty, because I want to capture that same cloud shape. Let's see. Clouds at night? All right, maybe this is a little better. Which cloud looks pretty to me? This cloud looks okay, maybe. I'm gonna start with some kind of softer clouds in the background and a stronger one in the foreground. So let's find a brighter cloud, something like this. It's all about the brush. You think so? I'm gonna do it with my regular brush, all right? So I'm gonna start by softening these out a little bit, okay? So just so we can work in a general value structure that I'm happy with. I'll paint the stars back in a second, but for now, just make the cloud a little bit smaller. Can I say some wise words while painting this? If you make a happy little mistake, you may as well just give up. Art is too hard. If you're not prepared to make mistake after mistake after mistake, maybe you're just not cut out for art. Maybe you should do something else. Have you considered crochet? I think if there were a cloud here, the bottom of the cloud would likely be lit by the remnants of the light from down there, so I'm gonna add that in. So from your cloud right here, remember that clouds are still 3D objects, so you gotta think about the lighting in the cloud as well. Like maybe there's some, it's lit up by the moon up here, but I don't see the moon. Okay, what do clouds look like on a moonless night? Not sure. I'm gonna try to pay attention to that. And yes, this is my very first cloud. But I'm gonna treat clouds the same way I treat everything else. In the end, everything is just shape design after all, right? I don't have to stress out too much about it. So as long as I have good shapes, I should be able to paint these clouds okay, yeah? That's what I'm hoping anyway. You love clouds? I know, I can tell you like clouds. I don't. So the clouds are typically lighter than the sky. So what if I increase the luminosity of this? Just a little bit. Maybe that makes a bit of sense. What I'm dealing is with like, okay, but where is the moon? Is there a moon? Maybe it's off screen, all right? Maybe it's off screen. And paints a few more clouds over here. And then I really want to make the shooting star stand out a bit, right? Because I think the issue with the original image, there's so much going on that it's hard to tell where you should focus the eye. So I'm just rearranging the elements so we can see those things more clearly right now. Looks like it's about to be sun. Oh, maybe it's dawn, not dusk. Yeah, maybe actually. True. I want to light this from below just because that's the sun's coming up from there, right? So I want to give this cloud that kind of vibrance. So yeah, if this is sunrise, then actually the moon might not be visible. So I'll actually darken the tops of the clouds instead of lightening them. And it might look more like sunrise then. I kind of smudged out the clouds, but I don't think think we need the clouds to be too refined. Like I said, we don't want to bring too much detail into stuff that's not important. And right now I want to make the clouds less important and the shooting star more important, basically. One thing I do know, and this applies to any kind of illustration, is that you don't have to make every single thing detailed. It's good enough most of the time to just suggest or imply that things are there, and then like just having a few tiny parts here that are detailed will carry the impression the rest of the way. I'm spending a little bit more time on these specific highlights because that's how I want to describe the form of the cloud. The other parts I don't care as much. Just like that. Let's paint a little cloud over here as well. Super detailed pieces look nice sometimes, true, but then if you have super detailed pieces, you have to be careful that it doesn't end up looking a little like kitschy, right? Because if everything is detailed all at once, you have to use other things at your disposal to correctly direct the eye across your illustration, right? So I'm gonna do the same thing here. Paint a bit of light in. We can see how we're doing so far. So a little bit of detail in here. So this section over here, the problem is that I feel like your stars are the same brightness as the shooting star, and I really want to draw attention to the shooting star. So what I'm gonna do is make all the stars a little bit less visible, but keep the shooting star the same brightness. What does a shooting star actually look like? Like this? Is that what it actually looks like? Wow, they are really bright actually. But yeah, take a look at this and see how bright it is compared to the environment. So I'm gonna do something similar, okay? So first we'll start by adding back some of the stars. So to add stars, I'm pretty sure I have a brush on CSP that can do sparkle, soft, sparkle, wee, glitter circle cross. That's very shoujo. Dappled light, that's weird. Okay, this might work. Let's reduce the brush density even more. The particle density, increase the particle size a little bit. That should do. I want to reduce the density even more though. Droplet maybe? Oh, droplet's better. We'll do droplet. Looks a little bit more natural. But now I'm gonna take it and make sure it isn't too bright and soften just to make sure it isn't overwhelming. I'll just kind of make sure they aren't super bright because the star of the show is gonna be the shooting star. And now finally we can draw in the shooting star. So let's do that. Okay, let's get something really bright now. I'm gonna do it a couple of times until I have a line I'm happy with. There, I'm pretty happy with this. Add a little glow to it if we want. There you go, glowing a little bit. And finally, I think for the last touch, I'm gonna put a glow dodge layer on top of everything. We can bring a little bit of attention to the parts where we want with the airbrush. So just a little bit here, a little bit on. I actually want to move this, so excuse me, maybe here. There you go. We'll do a few clouds here and there, but mostly down here. Oh wait, did I just flip the shooting star around? I did, but that's probably okay, right? I still want to make it a bit bigger though. All right, so I think that's where we're gonna leave it. Again, here is the before and after, okay? For something like this, I didn't really change how you drew much of like anything besides the clouds. I just made the foliage a little bit larger, and I made the characters a bit larger, the shooting star a bit larger, and I made everything else relatively fade into the background a little bit because I wanted the eyes to focus on these two elements. That's all, and I hope that's helpful, okay? Your favorite environment artist? Yeah, I don't really do much in the way of environments, honestly.